It was February 1998, and I was in Orlando, Florida, trying to answer this question. What's the secret that we've all asked, both as business leaders and consumers? Why is it so hard to find world-class customer experience companies? Why is just so few differentiating themselves on? Why is it so hard to find employees that are willing to go the extra mile? Why do so few companies really focus on training? I opened my first business, as Stuart talked about, the salon and spa back in 1993. And we wanted to be known as a world-class customer service company. Not world-class in the salon industry, world-class against any. And it was getting harder and harder as we grew from 2 employees to 10 to 50 to over 150. I was writing my first book, Secret Service, and I was really trying to crack the code to how can companies like Disney, Nordstrom's, and the Ritz-Carlton get 50,000 associates, cast members, team members to execute world-class customer service on a consistent basis. And so many of us struggle with a team of 10, 25, or 50. So I was traveling all over to try to crack this code. And one of my journeys took me to the Disney Institute, where I got to go underground and behind the scenes for 4 days to see how Disney does it. And it was one of the best learning experiences I ever had. However, I learned more the day after the class concluded to the question, what's the secret, than I had the 4 days in class. Now, while I was going to class, my wife Stacy, and at that time we had 2 boys. Today we're blessed to have 3. Johnny was 6 and Cal was 1. So when I was going to class, Stacy, Johnny, and Cal were around all the amusement parks, battling the long lines, the crowd, and the heat. When class concluded, we still had a few days left at Disney World. So I said to Stacy, what park are we going today? She says, we aren't going anywhere. She says, I got an appointment at the spa this morning, I'm going shopping this afternoon, and you are taking these monsters to the park. So she gets herself ready and leaves. I looked at Johnny, the 6-year-old, and I said, what park do you want to go to? MGM, Magic Kingdom, Epcot? And he says, Daddy, if it's all right with you, I just want to stay here at the hotel and swim all day. Have you ever been to Port Orleans? It has this beautiful dragon slide where you climb up the tail and slide out of the dragon's mouth. And that's all he wanted to do 50 times an hour. So I lucked out. I said, let's tell Mom we went to all 3 parks, and we'll hang out here today. So Johnny gets himself ready. I get Cal, the 1-year-old, ready and pack up his juice cups and put the special swimsuit diaper on him, doesn't explode in the water. Pack him up and go down the elevator, out through the lobby. Johnny sees the pool, he jumps in. I take Cal out of the stroller, take his hooded sweatshirt off, dip his big toe in the water. He starts crying. But pretty soon I get him acclimated, he's splashing and having a good time. That's when Johnny swims over to us. He says, Daddy, my favorite color is yellow. It's our code word that he has to go potty. I don't want to be in a nice hotel, restaurant, shopping. My kids say, Dad, I got to go pee. So we have code words. You probably know what it means if it says my favorite color is brown, right? Well, in this case, it says my favorite color is yellow. So I said, Johnny, couldn't you have done this 10 minutes ago? I just got acclimated to the water. Now I got to take him out, dry him off, and go look for a public restroom. So instead, I told Johnny to do something very, very bad. I said, just go in the water. He says, you kidding? I said, no, we all do it, right? No? Help me out, right? So Johnny swims away. I keep on playing with Cal. And a few moments later, I hear people screaming and laughing in the pool. I turn and look. Johnny climbs out of the pool, goes to the edge of the pool, pulls down his swim trunks, and he pees in the pool. Unfortunately, for all of you, that's a very true story. So let's hope for the next 55 minutes I'm a better speaker than I am parent. I swim over to him and go, what are you doing? He said, But if you think about that, that's what's wrong with customer service. Johnny did exactly what I told him to do. Now rest assured that today, he and all 3 of my boys know the proper way to pee in a pool. But what's world-class to one isn't world-class to all. I don't know about anybody here, but you wouldn't know why my world-class experience I was capable of delivering at 19, 21, or even 25. Because up to that point, my life experiences didn't afford me the know-how. Yet as managers, supervisors, leaders, entrepreneurs, we expect those employees, our employees, to give that type of experience. So how good your organization's customer service comes down to one thing and one thing only. It's the most important thing, your service aptitude. From the top person to the frontline employee, most recently hired, least trained, lowest paid, that deals with our customers the most. Service aptitude is a person's ability to recognize opportunities to exceed customers' expectations. And the last 4 words here are key, regardless of the circumstances. So let's go to the salon and spa. We all know what that experience is like, very similar. I hope I have high service aptitude every day, but it's less prevalent on a Monday because we have about 6 people in the salon. Place is spotless, everything's humming. Now coming on Thursday night, like many of your places, we have over 100 people in one location. We're running on average 20 minutes late. We probably ran out of hot water an hour ago. I gotta hope the 18-year-old hostess that works one day after school for minimum wage has high enough service aptitude. When our platinum VIP guest checks in for her standing appointment at 6 o'clock that she's had for the last 5 years every Thursday night, and it's somehow vanished on the computer today, that hostess never makes her aware that it wasn't there. So service aptitude's critical, and it's critical because no one has it. None of us had it. Not one of our employees that we're hiring has it. It comes from 3 places. Previous life experiences, which very few of us, are afforded up until 19 to know what world-class truly looks like. And one of my biggest complaints with customer service, compasses, if you will, are platitudes. A platitude's like, do the golden rule. That's dangerous. Because I got a 20-year-old son. Great kid. But if you hired him and told him to treat people how you wanted to be treated, I don't know if you'd want that. He'd give a fist pump. He'd say, hey, dude, or bro, or whatever. And you'd probably have to ask him to pull up his jeans because they're hanging too low off his hips, right? But he can be trained. And that's why the golden rule doesn't apply. The second place is previous work experiences. Everyone has worked. Most businesses aren't world class. So they've worked for someone who's very paranoid. And they're telling them, listen, customers, clients, members, guests, whatever we call them, are here trying to take advantage. It's your job not to, okay, and they're being good employees. Well, if you're world class, you don't want to be like that. You don't want to punish 100% of your customers for what 1 or 2% might be trying to do. I'm okay with getting taken advantage of 1 or 2% at a time, because what I get from 98% of my clientele that respects and enjoys, that we trust them. And the third place is current work experiences. We say we preach customer service, but what are we really, how are we really training them? Think about your training. Is it just the product knowledge, how to, train and the services we have and how to process people and check in and check out and all those things? How much soft skill training are we truly doing? And that's the critical piece. So I want to know, just by a show of hands, how many people in here feel that your business provides superior, outstanding customer service? Just raise your hand. All right, congratulations. Majority of the room. So the first chapter of my book, What's the Secret? That same question was asked to 300 different organizations, different industries. Guess what's the percentage that these 300 organizations, C-level people, felt that their organizations were giving superior customer service? 100, a little bit lower. 80. They must have stumbled on a great group. It's pretty impressive, 80%. And in here it was probably 60 to 70%. What they didn't know, these 300 organizations at the same time, they were surveying 3,000 of their customers. Guess what's the percentage of customers felt they were receiving it? 20, lower. 10, a little bit lower. 8. Think about that. 70% of us in here raised our hand. 80%. Think about yourself as a consumer, who you do business with. How often are you blown away where you want to let someone know about the world-class? You want to bring it back to your own business and use it as an example. 1 out of 10 times, maybe 1 out of 20. That's a huge disparity. And I see people taking pictures. You can get every slide. If you give me your business card or drop it off at booth 525, they will email you every slide because I'll go really fast here. But they can be yours. So why the disparity between what we generally as business people think is world class and obviously customers perceive? Why is there such a disparity? This is huge. Who can help me? Perception. But why do we have a different perception of what we think is world class and what our customers? And the person who was rude to you earlier this week when you went to pick up your dry cleaning, and she was short, If you put her on a lie detector test, she would pass. She would say, I was world class. You came in to pick up 7 articles of clothing that was due to, and I gave it to you. She's convinced she was world class. Why do we have a different perception? Expectations? Why? Aptitude? You're all right. But a lot of times we're not them. A lot of times we're not them. So I've worked in every industry. But think of how many people that, like in the hotel industry, that come to the hotel, they're business travelers. And I've worked in hotels, and the receptionist sometimes will complain about dealing with business travelers. Why? Because if you inconvenience them, 10 minutes, they could become irate. Well, I ask, how many people in a hotel have traveled once a week? None. Twice a month? None. They don't know what it's like to be us. It gets up at 4 in the morning, rushes to an airport, waits in line to get on a shuttle, to get our ticket, to go through security, to get our on a plane, off a plane, to get our luggage, to get a taxi. We expected all those waits. What we didn't expect was at 3 o'clock in the afternoon is the young lady saying, I'm sorry, your room's not ready. Are you kidding me? Now, if she would have seen a day in my life play out on reality TV show, would that make my room ready? No, because she can't control housekeeping, late checkouts, inventory. But what would be different? How she handled it. Mr. Juice, I apologize. What is it that you need? Well, I'm in t-shirt and a pair of shorts and I smell, and I have a big meeting in 45 minutes. Oh, Mr. We have a men's locker room with all the problem solved. I have a conference call in a half an hour. I'll kick our general manager out of his office. You can have his office for as long, problem solved. I really didn't need my room. But they've never been us. How many of your frontline employees have been that person who's 20 years older than them? Do they know what it's like to struggle? So one of the things we do is we help companies create a day in the life of their customer for their frontline employees to have more empathy. How many people do they see per hour at lunchtime? So they don't treat that person as the value meal number 4 or ticket number or the chicken sandwich. And they realize the part that they play. Think about your industry. And I'm going to get specific with your industry in a few minutes here about what it's like in a day in the life of your customer. World-class customer service companies do 2 things better than everyone else. They dictate what service aptitude has to be. They don't assume because no one has it. And they put their employees and themselves in the shoes of their customer, so you do have empathy. So you realize how important the part that you play in this customer's life is, whether it's for 90 seconds or 90 minutes. It's all about making price irrelevant. Everything we share, the companies we work with, is about making price irrelevant. And here's the really dangerous thing that I know your industry's experienced, as most, in the last 4 years, the economy, and what so many people did wrong was they chased it. They chased it with discounting. And that was, I believe, a mistake in most cases. For perception, value, and in all the things that happen. I do not get in price wars. I want to get in experience wars because there's no one playing there. So what making price irrelevant isn't, it's not that you could double your prices and not lose a member, a customer. That may not be. But what it is based on the experience that you consistently give your members. They have no idea what your competition charges. They're not price checking you. They're not listening and running down the street because someone has an offer. We all have that. Each one of us have a few vendors, clients, businesses that we do that we don't know what their competition, nor do we care because of the relationship and value we're getting. We probably could get it cheaper. We know we can get it cheaper. But the majority of the businesses we deal with, if you're like me, I'll drive 3 miles to save 50 cents on something, not realizing I just lost in the deal, right? Which side of the fence do you want to be on? I do not get in price wars. The average haircut in Cleveland, that's where I'm from. The average haircut in Cleveland is $25 for a woman. Now, if you're in LA or New York or Chicago, big city, Miami, it's over $100. But we're the Midwest. It's not that expensive. Our cheapest is $50 for someone that just went on the floor after a year of training. And we have hairdressers as high as $100. And we're the busiest. I'd love to tell you it's the haircut, but it's not. So back in the height of the recession, I think beginning of 2009, there was a salon that opened in one of our salon shopping centers. And they put this in their window. We do $10 haircuts. And our staff freaked because we do as much as $100 haircuts. And they said, we got a price cut. No. We are not going there. We are going to make sure our experience is what we promise. We're going to add value. And we put this sign in our window. We fix $10 haircuts. And I'm really sorry to say that by August, they went out of business. Don't chase it. Don't chase it. Focus on the experience, the relationship, the value, your expertise, what you can do for someone. So the 10 Commandments, what's the secret is based on the 10 Commandments of working with those companies. Ritz-Carlton and Nordstrom's and Lexus and Starbucks and Chick-fil-A's, all that. What they have in common, what they focus on. And the 10, I'm only going to focus on a couple today, but the 10 are critical. There weren't 8 a few years ago, there won't be an 11th. But just as important as the 10 is the order of the 10. You can't have the second commandment, which is a world-class team culture, if they don't know what the service vision is. You can't have non-negotiable standards execute if you don't have the right team. So let's talk about the service vision. It's a clear purpose of why your business exists. Very few people in here have a customer service vision. You have vision and mission and purpose statements. But a customer service vision is nothing that the customer ever sees. It's to be advertised to your employees, to want to get them to drive to work. And can I tell you, I've worked in so many industries, and very few have the advantage you do. And that's the important thing is that are we telling ourselves, our employees, what the part that they play in it? It's the true underlying value of what and how your frontline delivers to each and every customer that provides a meaningful purpose. It's why they want to drive to work. How many people have been to Disney World? Their customer service vision internally is to create one of the most special memories in a person's life. How many people would say it has been? Anybody go as a child and have to go as a parent? Right? That's pretty cool. So, how many people feel with all the stress and things going on today in the world, it is unrealistic to ask your employees to bring their A game to work every day? Is it realistic? Who says yes? Good for you. It is. It's non-negotiable. So here's the best example I'll give. I got to tour Disney Underground. Magic Kingdom, there's a whole underground where the cast members punch in, punch out, take breaks. And as I'm touring it, I see Snow White on break, smoking a cigarette. I'm like, holy cow. She's like, that idiot called me last night. I'm like, this is Snow White, you know? A few moments later, she goes back inside, she freshens herself up. She punches back inside, she goes up these stairs through these bushes, and she reappears on Magic Kingdom's ground. And 15 little 5, 6, and 7-year-olds come charging at her. She turns back in this beautiful angelic princess, posing for pictures, signing their pads. Downstairs in the parking lot, on break, wherever, she was Susie Smith that was about 22 years old that had a jerk for a boyfriend or a dwarf or whatever he was. My 6-year-old was there to see Snow White. It's exactly what she gave him. Why? Because Disney teaches her the part that she plays in this. She doesn't have a choice when she's on stage. That's the biggest opportunity we have here, especially in your industry, is the part that they play in someone's life. Starbucks, I've spoken for Starbucks in the past, but in 2010 they called me and they said, we want to hire you to help us recreate our customer service vision. Our customer service vision is 37 years old, but we need to change it. I was so excited. I said, there's no one that does that better than me. I was so excited until I asked the question, what is your existing customer service vision? And they told me, it's to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one neighborhood, one cup at a time. I'm like, damn, that's pretty good. I didn't tell them that. I'm like, that's horrible. I'm like, you guys making any money over there? Like, who wrote that? So I did what any good consultant would do. I said, what don't you like about it? He said, it's too big. You can't measure that. If you come in and get coffee, I'm watching the barista serve you. Did he inspire and nurture your human spirit because he gave you coffee in 90 seconds? It's probably not. They loved it. It's Howard Schultz's words. They moved it. They kept it. They moved it up to the purpose. This will happen over 200 consistent experiences over 5 years. That will probably happen if we do it right, but not one time. And it's not something that I would know as a 22-year-old or even as a 45-year-old what that means to me. How do I inspire the spirit? So they wanted something that was measurable, actionable. They could hold people accountable. So what do? Day in the life of a Starbucks customer, which is who? Everyone in this room. What does it look like? From the moment we get up, it is a crazy blur. Trying to get kids off to school. Trying to keep up with our commitments and where we have to be by when. In the lovely world of road rage and construction. So, next time you go to a Starbucks, they all wearing a green apron. This is the simplicity that is really powerful. They hand you the green apron and say, here is your customer service manual. Everything you need to know. No binders, nothing. Here it is. So next time you go in there, ask someone to turn over the top of their green apron, whether you're in Singapore, Las Vegas, Kansas City, or Cleveland. They all have it. Their service vision's on the inside. Why? For me to see 20 times a day, but not for you to see. It's about me. It's about me, the employee, to understand. Here it is. We create inspired moments in each customer's day. Why? Because they can't change the fact that you're going to get a flat tire, or you're going to have a customer upset with you, or you're going to have an employee quit or not show up. But what they can change is how you handle it. So they just want to be a moment. That's all they are, is a moment. But more importantly than that is the 4 pillars underneath. Anticipate, connect, personalize, and own. That's the how. Anticipate is the speed of time. That's very important. If you're in a suit and at 6:10 a.m. and you barely look up from your smartphone while placing the order, you don't want chit-chat. You don't want to hang out. You got someplace to be. Or it might be 9:15 a.m. and you just dropped your kid off at school and you're in some casual clothes. That's a different interaction time. Connect is, I know you. I have your venti soy latte ready and I call you off by name, or I don't know you, but I say, I love your haircut. I like your highlights. I like that tie. Within still the 90 seconds, but you make a connection. You're in a suit, got a big appointment, big meeting today. Personalizes, there's over 80,000 ways you can order your Starbucks coffee. They will give it to you. Over 80,000 ways. And the last one's my favorite, own. You take a sip and you have that face, is that not what you wanted? I'd be happy to make you something else. Instead of saying, hey, that's what you ordered. Your daughter drops her hot chocolate, let me give her a new one. You're giving the employees the ability to own the experience. So that's how they do it. The service vision's what? The own. So what does that look like? What are you really selling? Don't ask that. Because it's not what we're selling. And it's definitely not what we think. When I say we, I mean our employees, everyone. It's what are our customers really buying? That's the crucial thing. I see it as what they're buying is the bounce, right? We all have had the bounce at certain times of the year. Just come back from Florida, a little tanner, a little skinnier. We got the bounce. We hope that we bump into the X, right? I mean, I just rolled out of bed. This is the worst I've looked at, you know? And then there's times where we're pasty white, 5 pounds heavier from holiday, and we got sunglasses and a hat, and we don't have the bounce going on. That bounce is a powerful thing. In the salon industry, we're the same. We have the ability to put a bounce in people's step, right? Help them with their confidence and their self-esteem. That is such a privilege. How many people can do that? And what's the value of helping people with self-esteem? There's a myth that people that are more successful gain higher self-esteem. That's totally wrong. People with higher self-esteem become more successful. If I help you with your self-esteem, are you more likely to get the job, the interview, the date, the promotion, the sale? Yeah. We've all been there on both sides of the fence. When we feel good and that, attraction and, the power of positive thinking, inspiration, motivation, life change. So that was that company's service vision, is to inspire life change. And how? That's what we got to make sure our employees understand, the part that they play. It's not just another member, another appointment, just more traffic, more demands from customers. Why is that customer coming to us? Why are they giving us good money? And that's how they'll value it, is how they feel. We help them with the way they feel. There's no monetary amount that they care, unless it's just a commodity. I'm going to jump to the third commandment, non-negotiable experiential standards. Standards that everyone must follow. So I call this a customer bill of rights, the member bill of rights. I call it the burden of your brand. Would you ever expect to go to a Disney World, see a cast member on break in full uniform, chewing tobacco, spitting on the pavement as you walk by? No. Would you ever expect to go to a Renaissance, a Four Seasons, a Wynn Hotel, and you go up to them and say, can you tell me where the club industry conference is? And the person says, excuse me, I work in housekeeping, and they storm away. No, you just know that wouldn't happen. So here's what I want you to do. It's one of the best things. You create a short list of nevers and always. If I'm going to represent your company on the phone, face to face, there are certain things that I would never, none of us would ever be seen, heard doing, and if the situation presents itself, we'd always handle it this way. They're common sense, but as you'll see from this list, they're rarely done. This nevers and always can't be platitudes. It can't be always be professional, never be unprofessional. Because your version and my version, and the 16, 18, 21-year-old kids of unprofessional, there has to be no more, other than the words you have on the list, there's no more needed. It's so clear. It's like we always return calls or voicemails promptly. That's vague. Your promptly could be 2 hours, mine could be 2 days. We want it to be black and white, and you'll see what I mean by this. Now I'm going to give you a list of probably 15 or 20. You should only have 6 to 10 maximum. Never point, what should we do? Escort, right? What's pointing on the phone? Because we do have customers that call us. Or we have multiple locations and our internal customers and managers and general managers. What's pointing on the phone? Yeah, you got to call back and speak to Joe. He's not here. He might be in this afternoon. Or you got to go to our website. Or you can Why are you making me do the work? Send it to me. Have him call me. Here's my favorite one. In both my companies, the Julius Group and John Roberts Spa, there's nothing our employees need permission to do. They can comp it. They can send you $2,000. There's one thing, and to my knowledge, in 20 years, we've never given permission to use the word no. Management's approval, and we'll never give it. You cannot use that word. Tell me what the worst swear word is. This beats it in my world. Now, everything can't be a yes. So what should we do? Focus on what we can do. But you just can't use the word no. Never say no problem. That's the most overused street slang term in this room and you'll hear it 100 times a day because I made you aware of it. No problem equals big problem. 2 reasons. No problem, if you ask me to do something, no problem, means I'm taking my concerns over yours. That's no problem to me. My concerns aren't priority. It's your concern. And no problem is 2 negative words. What should we say? Certainly, my pleasure, absolutely, I'd be happy to. So you see, you don't say never be unprofessional. Always, that right side is professional. That left side is, we'd never do that. I'm not saying you have to do these, but this is what the list could look like. Overshare, we all do this. I didn't know you were here. He didn't tell me. He never tells me, right? The customer doesn't need to know that. Just take care of it. If we need to take someone out back and beat them, that's our business. Just own it, even if it's not your fault. Never show frustration publicly. What I want is a bunch of ducks. What a duck is one of the most graceful, beautiful thing gliding across the water, and no one sees is it's paddling like hell underneath. So if the equipment catches on fire today, it's supposed to. So we do here on Fridays or Thursdays to keep our heating bill down. Run in the back, call 911, get a fire extinguisher, but on the floor, it's all part of the entertainment here. Never make the customer wrong, just make it right. Never gossip. Let me go, or have a conversation with a coworker in front of a customer that's unrelated. Make sure they know what on stage is. Deliver 1 compliment. We've got to be teaching our employees to give one, because we get so transaction focused. So people sometimes say, I don't know if I like that. Why? Because isn't that like unauthentic if you're forcing people? Well, if you're doing it right, they should be complimenting people on things that they should anyway. They should be noticing things about people. You look great. Love your bag. Love this, love that. And so they're more engaging. Beat the greet. This used to say beat the customer, but people took it the wrong way. No one should walk in and say hi to us before we say hi to them. And I'm not just talking about the person that I'm going to be coming in contact, that's coming to the desk or I'm going to be working with. When an employee walks by, maybe he has no intention of a reason to be coming, they smile and they nod. If you're 6 deep with people, you're on the phone, you give sign language. We acknowledge them. Smile is part of the uniform. We send people home for being out of uniform. We'll go up to someone and say, you don't seem happy. I am. You are? Yeah. Well, tell your face. Your face has no idea. How are we going to inspire life change if you're miserable? I love this one. This should happen at every situation. Someone calls, you check someone in, you check someone out, you're working with them. Is there anything else I can do for you today? No, but thanks for asking. Makes me feel like you don't have 6 appointments after me. Makes me feel like you don't have 47 emails to get back to. Makes me feel like there's not 6 people on hold just by saying that one thing. Emotional connection. How do we create emotional connection? That's a platitude. So you make it measurable. 5 E's should happen every time. They're measurable. They take no more time. You make eye contact, enthusiastic greet, and ear-to-ear smile within the first second, 2 seconds that you see someone. You engage them and you educate them. And that could be 2 seconds. That could be welcoming them back and letting them know, whatever it is, or a new customer. I'm going to explain a little bit more to you, a new member. That's measurable. I'll give you a great tip. We use this on our interview. Because I told you, no one has service aptitude. But not everyone can get it. Most people can with the right training, but not everyone. So we interview you, and we count how many times per 15 minutes you smile, you show enthusiasm, you make eye contact. And now obviously the interviewer has to be doing that. But if you're not hitting that on your interview, it doesn't matter. All the training in the world isn't going to change it. But you don't know we're measuring that. You're trying to game the questions and figure out, the best way to answer a question. But, we're smiling and we'll even ask you, I see here that you said you love to run or you love dog. Tell me, if they don't get excited about their passion, they're going to be excited about too much. So it's very important to quantify these things. Secret service systems. It's the ability to use customer intelligence to personalize their experience. No one has an easier model than you. No one has an easier model than you. Secret Service is the Department of Customer Intelligence. It's the ability to have hidden systems, to deliver unforgettable customer service, to obtain customer intelligence, to personalize your experience. Now here's a rule, because no one wants to hire more people and slow things down. So there's 4 criteria, actually 3 criteria I think, that it has to match for us to implement it. 1, it has to be no cost. 2, so simple to execute and have 0 impact on productivity, meaning if it's a call, it doesn't take 10 more seconds. Doesn't extend that call 10 more seconds. If it's an appointment, it doesn't extend that 10 more seconds. We do it within the existing time frame so you don't have to hire people and slow anything down. Most importantly, it's a wow to the customer. They're not getting it anywhere else. And you can't be confused with who your competition is. Your competition is not the other clubs. Because, like when you go to the salon, my competition isn't the salon down the street, because you don't leave my salon and go down there and get your hair cut again. You don't need a salon for 6 weeks. My competition is then you go to the shopping, and you go to the grocery store, and you go to the restaurant, and you're either like Dorothy clicking your heels wishing you were back at John Roberts Spa the way we treat you, or the opposite. And that's what we want that to be, is why can't everyone be like? What do you know about them? The better the experience, the less price becomes an issue. You have to have silent cues and visual triggers. I should not have less of an experience if I'm a regular because you just hired someone. So I'll give you an example. One of the best Secret Service systems we have that we have yet to be able to find in industry, it doesn't work in, is if you come to our salon, or any of our salons, you're going to see a bunch of people getting their hair cut. See 10 or 12 people in a black John Roberts haircut and cape, 1 or 2 in a white John Roberts haircut and cape. What's that mean to you? We have black and white capes. To our employees, you've never been here before. Hope your first experience. I'm John. Can I get you more? I'm Suzanne. I'd love to give you a compliment. Polish change. Say, is there a sign on my back? No, we just pay attention. So you don't have to work here 3 years, 3 months, or 3 hours to understand. We don't treat white capes better than black capes. We treat them differently. There's more information. You're a black cape, you're an old friend. You're a gold cape, you're one of our top 100 customers. We know everything about you. It might be a red napkin instead of the black napkin at high-end restaurants. There's 4 things I always know where they're at. Fortunately, none of them are my boys. They're my wallet, car keys, cell phone, and my customer intelligence pad. It's always on me. How many people have relationships with their customers? Raise your hand. How many people have relationships with their coworkers or employees? Okay, I call bull. Remember, I hate platitudes, and relationship is a platitude. Just because you recognize my voice or my face does not mean we ever, even if you know my name, doesn't mean we have a relationship. So you have to prove it to me. My employees have to prove it to me. If you have a relationship with someone, you have to know 2 or more things of Ford. Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. If you know 2 or more things about me, of that you own me. Your industry, that's so important. That you know that I want to lose 50 pounds or run a triathlon or a 5K or whatever it may be. You own me. Talk about my boys. Talk about what my hobby is, whatever it may be. Talk about my job, where did I go last week? Where am I headed next week? That's a relationship. Even you better know those things about your employees too. So this is the same thing as a desk pad. People at work and computers and offices, we have this. Now, I don't want anyone to ask these questions. That'd be like a stalker checklist, right? That'd scare the hell out of someone. But as you know, when people either call up to make an appointment or to price shop or find out what your services you are, or they come in and work with you, they overshare. They tell you why they couldn't come in yesterday. You're not even asking. But what happens is we're so focused, or our frontline employees are so focused. Well, can you come in for a 3 o'clock tomorrow? Yeah. No. My daughter has a recital. How about Friday? Okay, Friday. Boom. And we just ducked and bobbed from customer intelligence that they're throwing at us. Instead, we can say, hey, how was your daughter's recital? It was great. How'd you know? Are you kidding me? You're our favorite member here. Really? Yeah. We missed that. Have you ever bought a new car and the salesman tells you this is the only car in this color ever, right? And you drive off, and what do you see an hour later? 15. Now, did 15 other people have the same idea as you today and buy it? No. What's different? What's different? You're noticing it.
How many passes does the team in white make? The answer is 30.
Do you want me to pull mine down?
You see the moon walking there.
It's easy to miss something you're not looking for. That's critical, that we have to prime ourselves. That's why I carry a customer intelligence pad with me, because I know it's important. But when I have that, it's priming my mind. I'll hear things that I normally would have missed in the past. We have these on our desks. Our software lets us know if they're new so we can educate them differently. Different color by their appointment lets us know if they're VIP, first time, return request, so we can treat them differently. I love when I call these 2 companies, now it's United, they say 2 things to me every time. Mr. DeJuice, is there anything else we can do for you today? I say, no, thanks for asking. We just want to thank you for being a platinum member since 2007. I hang up, I say, they must talk about me every day. How do they know? It's on their computer screen. It's right there. Bam. Salon. We have 200,000 guests. Our top 2,000 are silver, gold, and platinum. Anytime we check them in, check them out, we do the same thing because I learned it from them. I want to make sure they feel appreciated. Can we do that? Every employee should be able to talk about our members like that. What's important to them. All right, before I wrap up here on the last commandment I want to share with you. If you like weekly e-services, we have, it's free, an article that goes out every week. You can get it this way. And I tweet articles and customer service quotes every day if any of those are your preferred. And if you want the slides, just drop a card off at booth 525 and they will get you the slides within the next 24 hours. All right, the last commandment, and probably most important, is world-class leadership. Walking the talk, and that's by everyone in here. It's about overachieving. I'm going to share 3 things I have found in common that overachievers have. I'm sure it's just an affirmation on the journey you're on. The first one is amazing perseverance. Amazing perseverance. Let's see how good you are at trivia. He got fired from his first job as newspaper editor for a lack of ideas and proceeded to go bankrupt several times. Anybody know? Bam. Who said that? Good job. Went bankrupt several times. You got to do it. Everyone's doing it. Adopted at birth. Dropped out of college after 6 months. Started a company in his garage. Became a billion-dollar organization. Got fired from that company. Created Pixar. Returned to the company he started. Created the hottest technology gadget ever. Grew up in a dysfunctional, poverty-stricken home, was physically abused, yet become the wealthiest and most influential women in the world. Grew up poor in the projects of Brooklyn, New York, forced to quit his job over a conflict of where the company was going and where he thought it should go. Years later, he purchased that same company, turned a commodity product into a daily necessity. It was 5 times more expensive than the average. Today, one of the most recognizable brands in the world. It's in your lap. It's in your lap. Say it. Starbucks. One more. At age 6, father left mother and 6 kids, went from upper middle class to welfare overnight. Label in grade school ADD and LD. Request to repeat every grade from 1st through 12th. Suspended, flunked out of, not accepted to high school, with his older brothers attended, graduated dead last, and flunked out of college. Who? Me. You. Any guesses? Get a free book if you get it right. Me? Who said that? I looked that dumb? You're right. See who you've been listening to this whole time? These are my grade school transcripts. These are my average grades from 1st through 8th. I peaked in 4th and 5th grade with a D+ average. And this is what's written about me on every report card. It says, John was placed in 7th grade at parental insistence. It was strongly encouraged that he repeat the 6th grade. With the person who keeps saying it cannot be done, stop or up now, start doing it. The reason why I share my past with you is because it won't be too hard to find people more intelligent, smarter, higher degrees, inherent wealth, better genetics. But what you won't find is too many that have the passion for what they do that I have. And I'm just living proof that passion overcompensates a lot of deficiencies. I know if you're in this industry, you're very passionate. You got to make sure you continue, right? And it's different for all of us. But you got to bring your A game every day as a leader to inspire people. So that means you got to be doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, who you're surrounding yourself with, what you're reading, right? All the things that are feeding your brain, the health, wellness, all those things to make sure you're in that zone. The second one is, I love these 2 words, I want them tattooed on my forehead. Give more. And the reason is because it's such a cynical society today. The deal is you're going to do A, B, and C, and if you do, I'll do X, Y, and Z. But I don't believe you're going to do A, B, and C, so I'm going to wait and make sure you do it before I do it. What I try to teach myself, my employees, my kids, is do X, Y, and Z and throw in W. Long before they do their part. Don't keep score, and don't have a good memory. Don't remember 3 years ago the person that didn't. And that looks professionally, if you borrow someone's pickup truck or van to move furniture, you give them that truck with more gas and cleaner than how they gave it to you. And it'll come back. It's almost a selfish thing because how it comes back to you. but just give more in every situation. To your employees, to your customers, to your neighbor, to anyone. Just find ways to give more. Always be worth more than you promised. And here's the last thing I'll share, and I'll let you guys go. Every single one of you has gotten, still getting, and I know everyone can get up here and share a similar story, like we heard earlier. And it's something that people ask me how I got through those rough spots, and this was it. But I forgot about this gift until about 10 years ago, a situation with my oldest son happened. So this is my oldest son. When he was 6, he went out for wrestling. I didn't know much about the sport, and I was like, fine. He went out, and right away, because we're from Ohio, he said after he made the team, he says he is going to wrestle for Ohio State someday. I'm like, sure you will, right? So he makes a team, and he starts wrestling. He starts winning a few more matches. He loses. He turns 7 and 8, and he starts winning almost all of his matches. So we start traveling in Ohio to Columbus, Cincinnati, Toledo. And by the time he's 10, I can't find anyone at his age that can beat him at his weight or age. So I feel really good. So someone tells me, if you think your kid's good, take him to Tulsa, Oklahoma, the best youth wrestling tournament there is. So to satisfy Dad's ego, we get on a plane, we fly across the country, we find 3,000 kids. We're used to 20. His first match is a kid by the name of Ryan Brooks from Colorado. Ryan has this warm-up suit that says 3-time Colorado State champ, 2-time Tulsa national champ. I'm like, gee, this kid's only 10, right? How good can he be? Right before they go out there, Mr. Brooks looking at me, he says, hey, your kid ain't good? I said, yeah, he's pretty good. I said, how about your kid? He goes, my kid is the best wrestler in the entire state of Colorado. I think to myself, what kind of idiot says that, right? So naturally, I respond with, oh yeah? My kid's the best wrestler in the entire state of Ohio. They go out there, and the referee has to stop the match 5 different times. Why? Because Johnny's crying so bad. Up to this point, my son may lose once or twice a year, 2-1, 1-0. This day, November 2002, Ryan Brooks beat Johnny 15-0. My therapist helps me say that, 15-0. After the match, true story, Johnny's bawling in my arms. Mr. Brooks walks by and goes, I guess they don't make them that tough in Ohio. He shouldn't have said that. I said, you know what? Then I stop and think to myself, my son just got his ass kicked. I don't need to, so I let it go. My son goes back out there about an hour later because it's double elimination. He goes out. This time he gets pinned in about 15 seconds. So now we're flying home. And I feel like the worst parent that ever lived. Why did I have to do this to my kid? He never wants to wrestle again. So I do what any good parent would do right now. All you parents have probably beaten me what you would do in this situation. I start lying to my kid. I said, Johnny, I knew you were going to lose. You did? Yes, because in life, I start making this stuff up. This is what I do for a living. I give him the mother of motivational pep talks. Everything I've ever read, heard, I give it to him. And halfway through the best speech of my life, on the plane, my son in a wrestler, he says, Dad, do I ever have to go back to Tulsa again? I say, no, you can't. He says, what do you mean? I said, well, you could, but it'd be way too hard. Don't worry about it. No, what do you mean? So, well, Johnny, you'd have to go back to Cleveland, back to Ohio, and beat everyone worse than you've ever beaten them for the next 12 months. He says, I could do that. So that's not it. I said, you got to go to practice every night. They have it, whether it's 85 degrees out or you're not feeling well. I give him the whole showing up. He says, I could do that. I said, if your coach says do 50 takedowns, you got to do 55. If your coach says do 100 push-ups, you got to do 110. Because you got to be willing to do what others aren't, or we'll never close gaps. I said, you got to get all A's and all B's. Like I always do. I go, I'm going to give you a workout, push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups that you have to do on your own. I'm not going to babysit you, but I guarantee if you do all 5 of those things, I will bring you back to Tulsa next November. It'll be a different story. Well, he feels better. I feel better. Figure I never got to worry about this again, right? My son takes everything I say literally. He does 500 push-ups, 500 pull-ups. He beats everyone worse than he's ever beaten them. I'm traveling. I call up in the morning to speak to my wife at like 10 a.m. He answers, hello? I said, Johnny, why aren't you in school? He goes, oh, Dad, I've been throwing up all night. I said, okay, feel better. I'll call you up later. Call him up that night to say goodnight. My wife answers. I said, where's Johnny? She goes, he's at wrestling. I said, why would you let him go to wrestling? She goes, listen, we're going to talk when you get home. Yes! So it comes next November. He says, Dad, we going? I said, going where? He goes, to Tulsa. I'm like, do you want to? He says, yeah. And at that point, I was sick to my stomach because he did everything I said. And I couldn't get out of it. But I knew that we'd go back and probably the exact same thing would happen, and it would crush what's left of his faith and my credibility, but I couldn't get out of it. So we go, and luckily, he wins the first match he has, and I start hugging strangers, right? I'm off the hook. We can go home. Then he wins the second match. I'm like, whoa, this is frosty on the cake. He ends up winning the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth match, which places him in the Tulsa finals. Guess who he gets? Here's the last 10 seconds. There's no sound to it, don't worry. That's Johnny left. He ends up pinning Ryan, and you can see Dad jump up and down like an idiot right there. This is Mr. Brooks. I wish I could tell you what I said to him after, but I can't. All right. I don't want you to miss it. I don't want you to miss the gift I told you about. After the match, I'm calling everyone I know. I'm calling people I haven't spoke to in 35 years. They're like, who is this? I'm like, Julius, I sat next to you in school. It doesn't matter. My kid's a national champ. So I said to my son, I said, how'd you do it? He says, what do you mean? I said, Johnny, you're kidding me? He's a 4-time this, 3-time that. He beat you 15-0 last year. You're the Tulsa national champ. And he looks right at me and says, because you said I could. And at that point, I was no longer proud. I realized a year earlier I gave the best and the worst motivational speech of my life. The best because it worked, the worst because I didn't believe one word of it. I gave it to him more to make myself feel better for putting him in that situation that I thought it was possible. And that really bothered me that I invited my kid to greatness on insincere terms. Because the older we get, the more cynical we become. If any of you a year earlier would have said, your kid's going to be a national champ someday, I would have said, oh yeah, and what sport? Because I know it ain't going to be wrestling. But an 11-year-old says, well, my dad says all I got to do is this, 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 and this. And my dad wouldn't lie to me. And he trusted it, and it paid off. And it really, really bothered me. And I got it. Everyone in here has gotten it growing up. You know, I went through those hard times, and when the teachers would call and the principals called, maybe the police called once in a while, I'm not sure, right? My mom would always stick up for me, and no one thought she was being tough enough on me. But she always stuck up for me, and she'd always say these 4 words about me and to me that we've all heard. They're powerful. I believe in you. You're going to make it. I believe it. When you don't measure up to someone else's or your own, no, you're going to make it. I believe in you. We've all had, everyone can get up here and tell a story of when you weren't too believable and someone else had more confidence than you had. That's a powerful gift. And ever since then, I started thinking, how many people do I give that to? Like, I got it. Or I just say, why aren't you here? Why aren't you? How many people do I believe in and say, no, you're going to make it? You got to remember the power is believing in people when it's not easy to, because we've all been there. I was the kid that was ADD and LD and requested to repeat every grade. I'm the dad that told his kid to pee in the pool. I'm the dad that flew his kid across the country to get his brains kicked in, right? My salon almost went out of business when the first 4 weeks we opened. We had no idea what we were doing. My first book, Secret Service, got turned down by over 200 publishers before a publisher took a chance on it. On the flip side, we run a pretty good salon operation. Both books made the bestseller customer service list. But more importantly than all that, I'm the father of a national champ, which is really, really cool. Thank you. Number 2 is what we affectionately known as Crying Ryan. No, I'm just kidding. That's not nice. So I asked my son, what are you going to do next? He said, I'm going to win it again. And I said, I know you will. I believe in you. And he did. And then he went into high school, and he won 3 state championships for Ohio. And now he's the starting 125-pounder for Ohio State, like he always dreamed. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. Here it is. Sometimes you have to believe in the belief others have in you until your belief kicks in. We know what that's like. We've been there. Let's be there for others. Let's be there for others and help them. So I want to thank you and club industry for believing in me and allowing me to come in and share my passion with you. And I really appreciate you hanging out with me today. Thank you.